But I tell you what you do need. You need a little bit of Joe the Shirt's Off the Cuff. Welcome back, everybody. Joe the Shirt is once again off the cuff, and that's today's music brought to you by Alexa Wilkinson. And I can just feel my estrogen levels going up with every passing moment of that song. you know, I sometimes wonder if any of these musicians that I use their music from, from Spreaker, if they've ever listened to any one of my shows, and then just say to themselves, they're using my music for what? Well, because I'll tell you, I think it's possible, because there have been times where I went back to look for certain music to play again, and it wasn't available. So I think those guys caught wind of it and just took their shit. Made it unavailable to me anyway. Yes, that was Alexa Wilkinson, her first song of the day. Here, Movie Moment. All right. I'm doing the Thanksgiving Day Spic-tacular. You may be wondering, well, Joe, Thanksgiving isn't until next week. Why are you jumping the gun more than a week ahead of time? Well, because I know that Thanksgiving Day, not only will you not listen, but I'll be too drunk to want to do it. So, I'm not gonna. I don't know about you guys, but this year, the girlfriend and I, we're going to keep it on the down low. Well, actually, we usually do keep it on the down low for Thanksgiving because, she wasn't even born in this country. And for me, it's not one of my biggest holidays. You know what I mean? Usually we'll have like a friend or two over, like an orphan's Thanksgiving. I don't know if we're going to cook again this year, or we're going to like maybe order some pre-made meals from someplace, because I think it's just going to be really at most maybe 3 people this year, and or possibly even just her and I. And we haven't been invited to anybody else's Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, how you don't invite me. But it's just one of those things. We really not sure what we're doing. I know we're going to be eating turkey at some point or another. Now, to honor the fact that that I am doing my Thanksgiving Spectacular today, my breakfast was, in fact, a breakfast burrito, but instead of with ground beef, it was ground turkey. So there you go. I've had my turkey for the day. Now, let's get on with some celebrity birthdays real quick here. Birthdays today, November 18th. You share that birthday with a couple of very famous actresses, actually. Jodie Foster turns 51. Meg Ryan turns 52. Calvin Klein is 71. Larry King is 80. And I'm thinking to myself, just 80? Really? That's it? Ahmad Rashad is 64. Ted Turner is 75. Kerri Strug is 36. Remember her, the Olympian, the gymnast that broke her ankle and shit, but kept going and won the gold? What a hero. Jack Dorsey is 37. You're thinking to yourself, well, who the fuck is Jack Dorsey? Well, if you are part of the modern age, you owe him a lot of your social media participation. He was one of the co-founders of Twitter. Let's see, Dan Haggerty is 72 years old. He's the guy that played Grizzly Adams on the Grizzly Adams TV show and movies. By the way, his nickname is Grizzly Adams. Dick Cavett is 77 years old. And Matt Sorum is 53. He used to be with Guns N' Roses. And if your birthday happens to be next week, next Thursday, November 28th, you share that birthday with, Paul Schaefer of the David Letterman Show, 63 years old. Randy Newman is 69 years old. Ryan Wanton is 36 years old. Again, you may not know who he is, but he plays Jason, the idiotic brother on True Blood. Ed Harris, great actor, is 62. Judd Nelson, a so-so actor, is 53. And the one and only Jon Stewart turns 50. My God. Everybody's getting old. Now, as you know, because Thanksgiving changes every year, the date changes because they put it on the 4th Thursday of every year, November. Nobody's actually really born on Thanksgiving. Nobody can claim that Thanksgiving is my birthday. I mean, unless you were actually born on Thursday, Thanksgiving, It's a misnomer to claim that you were born on Thanksgiving, because obviously there's a very good chance that most of the people here on this list were not born on the fourth Thursday of November. Okay, so it's one of those holidays that I don't know why they like to move it around a lot. Much like the Jewish holidays, actually. The Jewish holidays change every goddamn fucking year. This year, Hanukkah actually starts next Wednesday, and that's going to be a whole different toboggan right there. We're going to be doing that one possibly tomorrow, possibly, maybe later, maybe sooner, well, not sooner, obviously, not doing it today. But, but I will be doing a Hanukkah special. And for those of you, my Jewish brethren out there, those of you who thought I butchered Yiddish for Rosh Hashanah, oy vey gewalt. Wait till you hear how I butcher words and terminologies in Yiddish for Hanukkah. Mind you, notice I'm not calling it Chanukah, all right? At least I'm not doing that. It's not Chanukah. It's Hanukkah. You gotta in the Hanukkah. And that Joe the shirt, he's my sugar, That's what people say about me all the time. They do. But we are talking about Thanksgiving. And a quick reminder, once again, November 28th, Thanksgiving Day. Don't forget to catch on ABC the Lady Gaga and the Muppets Holiday Spic-tacular. Again, there's just nothing about that sentence that seems right, does it? Lady Gaga and the Muppets Holiday Spic-tacular with featuring songs from Lady Gaga's new album, Our Top, appearances by Elton John, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, RuPaul, Kristen Bell, and a duet with Kermit the Frog. So, yeah. I know I'm going to tune in, Fuck the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special. I'm watching Lady Gaga and the Muppets Spic-tacular. That's what I'm doing. Anyway, it occurs to me that, like a lot of holidays, we actually don't know much about Thanksgiving. I know I didn't know all that much. I mean, I remember the stuff that they taught us in school, all that bullshit. Right up there with Columbus discovering America. How did you discover it? There were people already there. They were called Native Americans or whatever the fuck they called them. So they were already there, man. But that'd be like me breaking into your car and claiming I discovered it. Well, it was just there on the street. Now the more modern concept of Thanksgiving, which is celebrated on the fourth Thursday of every November, has been celebrated that way since about 1863, roughly. I say roughly because Thanksgiving is, unlike Christmas, it's not officially a religious holiday. It is in a lot of ways, it's a government holiday. It was a government-mandated holiday, really, which was started by, well, we'll get into that. But the fact of the matter is, the holiday has never been set for the longest time. For like hundreds of years, Thanksgiving not only wasn't set as a date or as a time, but I mean, they would have sometimes multiple Thanksgivings a year. All right? Now, it's like I said, it's been celebrated in the modern way, starting back in 1863. It was proclaimed as a national holiday by Abraham Lincoln. Quote, Thanksgiving and praise to our beneficent Father who dwelleth in the heavens, and was meant to be celebrated, November 26th. So this year we're close. We're close. All right. Now, the event commonly known as the first Thanksgiving, you may remember the whole Pilgrims thing, was celebrated by the Pilgrims in 1621, but was already pretty common by 1607. And typically, the party is really what it was. The festival lasted 3 days. So it was like not just one, but 3 days of eating and drinking and arguing with your relatives. Then, now according to this, what I caught up on Wikipedia here, the first Thanksgiving was attended by 53 pilgrims and 90 Indians. You think if the Indians knew what they knew now, really they outnumbered them back then by like 2-1. They could have taken them, And in a lot of ways, they figured it out by next year because in 1622, during what's known as the Indian Massacre, a third of the population of the Virginia colony was killed off by Indians. I think they caught on. Thanksgiving, the day where we thank all the Indians for dying so easily of disease and not being bulletproof. Yes. Now, back then, depending on the colony or the area that you were giving it, Thanksgiving was celebrated anywhere between July and December. All right, so there was a lot of latitude there, okay? A lot of times, people adopted the term Thanksgiving for after a military victory, the adoption of a state constitution, or if the corn crop came in particularly good that year. They'd celebrate Thanksgiving. That really it was just an excuse to eat too much and party, and kill more Indians. Let's see. The Continental Congress appointed multiple days in 1777. George Washington declared Thanksgiving to be done in December of 1777. He then reassigned it to November 26 in 1789. Then again proclaimed it in 1795. Now, this is something that was happening back then, was that depending on who was president, they would proclaim a Thanksgiving. It wasn't a law or anything like that. It wasn't like an official federal holiday. Just the president said, this year Thanksgiving is going to be on Tuesday, April 4th. Yeah, okay, let's do it that way. Yeah, we're going to do that. And it could have been for any reason, like I said. It could have been just because he felt like it. Could have been because they had a big military victory. They won a big battle. He got a good deal on his car insurance. Who knows? But whatever the president felt like was worth giving thanks for, that was the day they had Thanksgiving. And it wasn't always proclaimed. He didn't have Thanksgiving every year coming from the president. Let's see. It was proclaimed again in not again until like 1795. John Adams declared it in 1798 and then in 1799. It was taken up again by James Madison in 1814. And then James Madison also had two Thanksgivings in 1815. Okay? In New York, Thanksgiving was adopted on from 1817. Also, you got to remember, a lot of the states, a lot of times, would pick their own time. So you would have your federal Thanksgiving, you might have your state Thanksgiving, hell, you might have your township Thanksgiving. So it wasn't set in stone yet. Now, as we all know, we all have our Thanksgiving traditions. A lot of them very similar to the ones we do today. A lot of them a little on the different side. In post-Civil War United States, the new United States. Let's see, on Thanksgiving Eve, I bet you didn't know that there was a Thanksgiving Eve. You would hold a raffle, and then whoever won the raffle would typically get a goose or a turkey, which kind of makes sense. It's like, hey, look, I just won dinner. And then on Thanksgiving Day, you'd have shooting matches. The targets were typically chickens, and yes, you guessed it, turkeys. Mind you, this is something that people still do to this day. Okay, people go out hunting, and shoot their own turkey, which is kind of retarded because your average wild turkey, it doesn't have a whole lot of meat on it. Okay, what we're having these days is your domesticated turkey, which makes it a much bigger, fattier animal that doesn't fly. And then people will go after target practice to church services, and then we'll come back with more of this on this Thanksgiving Day Spic-tacular here on Joe the Shirt's Off the Cuff. In the meanwhile, we'll take a little break with Alexa Wilkinson and her song, Sad-Eyed Annabelle. Ooh, feel the estrogen.
You know a thing or two about love. I won't try to slow you down. The only reason that you follow me around is the tale of sad-eyed Annabelle. She will never break your heart. She will never rip you apart. She will shame and it says in the back of your head, I will lay.
And Joe's shirt is off the cuff. Joe's rocking with sad-eyed Annabelle. I wanted to make sure that people don't think that I'm a complete sexist, so I want to make sure to include some hard-hitting rockin' music by a female artist, Alexa Wilkinson. Sad-eyed Annabelle. I know, I'm being a dick about it. I don't care. We're talking about Thanksgiving on this, our Thanksgiving Day Spic-tacular. Some of you may be wondering, why do you call it a Spic-tacular, Joe? Well, that's because I'm a spic and I'm tacular. It's just tacky. Now, this is, when it comes to Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving is one of those few things that I don't just, blatantly blame white people for fucking over another race, because along with the English, the Germans, the Italians, the Spanish, which are my people, half of me anyway, I'm half Spanish, half Puerto Rican. The Spanish also came to this country and this continent and the South American continent. And, we fucked over all the natives there just as much as anybody else did, okay? We were wiping people out left and right, Mayans, Incans, fuck them, and then we would fuck them. And then that's why it is almost all of South America, Central America, and of course, Mexico, and so much of the United States speaks Spanish, because we went in there, killed all the men, and then started raping the women. That's what we did. Okay? I own that. All right? I own that. Which is why these days I only fuck white women in order to respect my Incan, Aztec, Mayan brethren. I can't fuck them because it'd be wrong. It'd be like the raping genocide all over again. Yeah, I said it. Anyway, now one of the biggest traditions we have in this country when it comes to Thanksgiving is, of course, football. Yeah, football. And this dates back quite a bit, going back as far as early 19th century. It was when high schools, all the way through the professional levels, there was professional football beyond what you see in the movies and TV. But people would have Thanksgiving Day games. Where all the local high school kids would all get together and play football, and then it became more organized so that they planned for it. Either before or after the meal. Everybody always play football, and then people started thinking to themselves, "Hey, the local high schools are playing football. Let's go watch." And then of course eventually we got TV and we stopped going to high school games. But people still go to college games though. They still do that, and that became a big deal. Now. As you know, as I was telling you earlier on, for the longest time, people could not agree on what should be Thanksgiving, what day should be Thanksgiving. Now, way back when, in 1939, Franklin Delano Roosevelt declared that the fourth Thursday of November is the designated Thanksgiving Day. This is 1939. But because November had 5 Thursdays, and that was because November had 5 Thursdays that day, that month. Typically, they used to put it on the last Thursday of the month for the longest time. So then he declared that we should do it on the fourth Thursday. Now, he was criticized for that because it was believed that the reason he did that was so that merchants, stores, could have more time to sell stuff before Christmas. Because you think about it, if you have your Thanksgiving on the last Thursday of the month, and it's the fifth Thursday of that month. That means it's like pretty much the very last fucking day of that month, and then you only got 24 days to buy presents for Christmas. So what he did was give the merchants an extra week to give them more time to go shopping, because back then it was considered to be in poor form to advertise your Christmas stuff in your stores before Thanksgiving was done and over with. All right, so basically the merchants were waiting for Thanksgiving to be over so that they could like peddle their wares for like 3 weeks. So Franklin D. Roosevelt decided, we'll push it back a week, so that way they get at least a month to do it. It was very, very widely criticized. People began to refer to November 30th as the Republican holiday, Republican Thanksgiving, and then November 23rd as the Democratic Thanksgiving, or as it used to be called back then, Franksgiving. They actually said that. They really did. I'm not kidding you. Now, it wasn't until October 6, 1941, when both houses of the U.S. Congress made the last Thursday of November to be the official Thanksgiving. But even that was changed on December 26 of 1941, same year, and signed into law by President Roosevelt so that it would always be the fourth Thursday of every November. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. The people were arguing about this. People were fighting about this. Now, other little tidbits you might want to know about Thanksgiving. Let's see. In 1947, the National Turkey Federation, I had no idea there was one. There's a National Turkey Federation. Who knew? The National Turkey Federation presented the president with the first live turkey and 2 dressed turkeys, or, ready-to-eat turkeys, as an annual thing. John F. Kennedy is known as the first president to spare the live turkey. And then Ronald Reagan is known as the first president to grant a presidential pardon to a live turkey. And that was way back in 1989 and was picked up by George Bush. And it's been going on since. Every year now, the president pardons a turkey, and the turkey gets to live out his days at either a farm or a petting zoo. I don't know if you've ever tried to pet a turkey. They're not the friendliest birds on the planet. And of course, we all know the typical stuff that goes on with Thanksgiving. We know that there's parades. We know that there's football. There's TV specials. I'm a big fan of holiday specials, which is why I like to do these kinds of shows. And you may have noticed I don't just keep it to your secular or Christian holidays or government holidays. I've talked about Jewish holidays. I'm going to be bringing up Kwanzaa. I try to be even keeled, and don't miss out on my special, satanic holiday special. Now, on the other side of all this celebrating is, of course, Native Americans. A lot of them are still pissed. A lot of them are still pissed off, and you can't blame them for that. I mean, you come over, you steal everything they have, kill them, disease them, introduce them to diseases they never knew fucking existed, and, and then tell them, you know what, to make it up to you, we'll give you this piece of dirt over here in the desert, and, you're your own sovereign nation. But, only as long as you follow our rules. Yeah, I'm sure they feel real good about that. So since 1970, the United American Indians of New England has continued to accuse the U.S. and Europeans in general of fabricating Thanksgiving and of whitewashing the genocide of the Indian race. And every Thanksgiving, instead of having a Thanksgiving, they hold a day of mourning or an unthanksgiving by some tribes. And I can't blame them for that. I really can't. I try to me. I try not to hold a grudge. I try to hope people don't hold a grudge against me. But it's difficult. It really is. Especially when you're talking about the genocide of an entire people. You don't see people trying to tell Jews. It's like, hey, let it go. The Holocaust was like 60 years ago. It's no big deal. See, nobody does that yet. Nobody does that yet. I guarantee you, within the next 300 or 400 years, how we look at World War II, the Holocaust in general, will be very, very different from how we look at it now. Obviously, we won't be there to prove it, but hopefully the records will continue to be kept accurately, and people can just look back then, just like I did today, looking back at Thanksgiving, how it was being done, 400 years ago, 500 years ago, and seeing how it was back then as compared to how it is now. It's completely different. It's a completely different how we look at it. And, a lot of people, like the Native Americans, will tell you that, that we are whitewashing it, that we are looking at it from a very, let's say, gentrified point of view. And we do. We have to, There's also some trouble coming from atheists who object to the blending of church and state. Like I mentioned earlier, is it a religious holiday? Is it a government holiday? Because, Thanksgiving was something that was started here on this continent, okay? All over the Christian world, the Judeo-Christian world, hell, even the Islamic world, people give thanks to their version of God. They thank God all the time. And then, they have certain celebrations that, are tuned to their own particular, religious points of view. But the whole idea of saving a day to give thanks was started on this continent. And like I said, it was done for very different things. It was done for, like I said, a good harvest, a military victory, the adoption of a constitution. It could have been for a lot of things. So it was always thanking God and praising Him for, letting this happen, letting this good thing happen. It's too bad, it makes you wonder why there isn't a, fuck you giving, because, well, I guess basically that's what the Indians are doing. They're doing a fucks giving, fuck you for fucking us over. That's basically what they do, and, I'm a big proponent of keeping church and state separate. I don't like the idea of having "in God we trust" on our money, and the mentioning of God in any type of official manner. Like if you go to court and you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God. I don't like that. I think it's bullshit. The national anthems and all that. I don't dig it. But this is what you call one of those things where, you can't go around giving a shit. Because, for me, it's a holiday that holidays doesn't really affect anything. Okay. It's not like, it somehow affects your job or somehow affects your health care. It's like, it's a day where we all get together and basically just party. Let's not act like, we're really thanking God, okay? It's like, and me and my girlfriend, we have Thanksgiving every year. We have yet to pray once, all right? We do Christmas every year. She's Jewish and I'm an atheist, okay? So it's like, I don't care, but I like the fun of it. I like, I like the festival. I like the rituals. The rituals are fun. We enjoy them. We derive a certain amount of comfort from them. So I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with keeping church and state separate on this particular issue because it's a holiday and it's dumb and it doesn't really mean anything to anybody. Okay? And on that note, we're going to take one more break. And here's one more song from Alexa Wilkinson. It's called Heaven Won't Mind by Alexa Wilkinson. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff. And this is my Thanksgiving Day Spic-tacular.
Push and pull and fall to the primal scream. I'm gonna pay for this. Meanwhile, it's a smile in a sinner's dream. There's a plan of innocence set for return, but all of that's an ocean away. In a den of iniquity, you might as well burn. I promise not to beg you to stay. Heaven
And heaven won't mind listening to Joe the Shirt's Off the Cuff Thanksgiving Day Spic-tacular. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I keep saying everybody like there's thousands of you listening in. And honestly, right now, if it's just one of you listening in, thank you very much for listening in. I have a need to talk. I have a need to express myself, and I'm glad that there are people out there that are listening. I see my numbers. I see people are listening. Some days more than others. Some days I get 14 people to listen to a show. Other days I'll get almost 100. It depends on the mood, I suppose. And I also know that, now that we're close to the holidays, a lot of you are out there, and you're way busier right now than you usually are, because besides work, now you got to get ready for the holidays, you got to get ready for the family, and that is typically the biggest headache I think anybody has when it comes to the holidays is other people. Honestly, it's really what it is. I mean, I understand the concept of getting together with family. And, because, we tend to spread out after a while. I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York, with me and my mother and my sisters, at the time, my three sisters, and then she moved to Florida, and she had two more sisters. And then I have, all my family that lives in New York and Florida and Georgia and here in California even, and then I have all this family in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, and family that doesn't even know I exist that live in Spain, because I'm a bastard. And we spread out, and and then we feel this urge to reconnect with our family. More often than not, our immediate family, and maybe first cousins, second cousins, and that weird uncle or two, and their weird friend that they bring with them for Thanksgiving. This is how traditional I am. My girlfriend and I, we like to go to Las Vegas for Christmas. That's what we like to do, because, she's Jewish, I'm an atheist, my family's a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't celebrate Thanksgiving or Christmas or anything like that. So we go to Las Vegas and we gamble and we drink and we get stoned and we gamble and drink and get stoned some more, catch a couple of shows. We have a great time, and we decorate our room, and it's a lot of fun. But, Thanksgiving is such a family holiday. I did not grow up with Thanksgiving growing up. I think back to my childhood. I don't remember a single Thanksgiving for two reasons. One being, by the time I was 8, my mother was a Jehovah's Witness, so we didn't do any type of holidays, religious, secular, or government or otherwise. And before that, my mother had me when she was 15 years old. Okay, she got started early. And, she came over to this country from Puerto Rico, which is officially part of the United States. And she was very young and had no concept of Thanksgiving. She had a concept of spreading her legs, apparently, but she had no concept of Thanksgiving. Sorry, Mom, I'm not calling you a whore. I'm just kidding with you. But she, we grew up poor in the Bronx, we weren't about to spend all this money on something that we really knew nothing about. Well, at least my mother didn't. I knew, by the time I was 5 years old, I knew more about American traditions and history and culture than my mother had by the time she was 20. Okay? My mother didn't speak a whole lot of English when I was growing up. She speaks great English now, but she didn't speak a lot of English. She didn't read or write English, So it was one of those things that, she had no real connection to the culture in general. So there was no need for her to want to celebrate Thanksgiving. I said I don't remember a single Thanksgiving ever in my household. I'm going to call my mother today. I'm going to ask her, did we ever celebrate Thanksgiving? Ever. All right? And what do you guys tell me? Please write me, Joe the Shirt at yahoo.com or on my Facebook page, Inappropriate Conversation, or even on Spreaker.com. Just look for, Joe the Shirt's Off the Cuff. You can leave messages there as well. Tell me what you think. Do you enjoy Thanksgiving? It's not one of my favorite holidays. It never has been. Maybe because I really just didn't grow up with it. And when I went to college and my family moved to Florida, there was no reason to go visit them for Thanksgiving. I'm not going to fly 1,500 miles for 3.5 days, just so I can go back. It didn't make any sense. So I became a Thanksgiving orphan, and I would, sometimes I'd eat like 2 Thanksgiving dinners in one day, because I would be going with one buddy to his place for Thanksgiving, but then being picked up by another one to go somewhere else, maybe to go back home. So there was always, I was an orphan. I was a Thanksgiving orphan. And so it was always very fascinating to me to see how these people got together and did their celebrating. Like, I remember one girlfriend, my ex named Jennifer, who was a very pretty, sweet girl. Looked a lot like Bridget Fonda. That's how like dudes always tried to come on to her. They tried to let her know, hey, you look like Bridget Fonda. This is when Bridget Fonda was really big. And, and she was like, oh, gee, thanks. I get that a lot, And I was just like, just fuck off, motherfucker, But I went with her, I think, once or twice for Thanksgiving at her family's house, and it was different. It was really, really different from anything I'd ever experienced at that time. Just a lot of family, a lot of beer-gutted, fat white guys, and then Black Friday would come along. And I will address Black Friday, not in today's show, but I will address Black Friday sometime this week. But Black Friday came along when everybody goes shopping, and all the women were like, all right, we're all going to go shopping and this and that and the other thing. It's like, Joe, you can go with us, or you can go with the guys. And I'm like, great, what are the guys doing? We're going to go play football? We're going to go to a bar? What's going on? They're like, no, we're going hunting. And I'm like, no. Not that I have anything against hunting. I really don't, especially because these guys are the kind of guys that, would eat what they killed. These are the kind of guys that these were. These are good guys for the most part. But at the time, I had only just gotten to know her family just a little bit. I only just recently met her dad. And the very idea of going out into the woods in late November in upstate New York during a blizzard with a bunch of drunk fat white guys with guns, and I don't have one, kind of bothered me. I'm saying. Now, a year later, when they asked me to go fishing with them, I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. That was great. I had a great time. We went fishing, we went boating, we went tubing. It was fun. But no, I wasn't going out into the woods with a bunch of old, fat, drunk white guys with guns, and I didn't have one. I remember... I don't know, have you had those Thanksgiving nightmares? Those nightmare situations. I know the holidays tend to be particularly stressful for relationships. I know that a lot of people around the holidays like to start thinking about breaking up with their significant other. The holidays are big for that. And a lot of people, don't like the idea of breaking up with their significant other before the end of the holidays because they feel that, they don't want to ruin their holiday. And, I've always thought that that's bullshit, because basically what you're saying then is that you wanted to break up with me from October to February. Okay, you have your Halloween, which I consider a holiday, your Halloween, your Thanksgiving, your Christmas, your New Year's, and your Valentine's Day. You've been wanting to break up with me for like 5 fucking months. And you break up with me at, mind you, Valentine's Day, number 1 holiday for breakups. Believe it or not. That is the number 1 holiday. We'll get into that when Valentine's Day comes along, but it is the number 1 holiday. And, and I honestly, I would rather, if it's me, I would rather just break up with me before the holidays. Really, just break up with me now. That way I don't have to spend any money on you, and I don't get to feel used when you do break up with me on Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving is also a very popular day for people to break news to their family. Like people like come over to your house, and your cousin Richard comes in, and he's got his special friend Mike with him, and they like to let everybody know. I just want to let everybody know I'm gay. Mike's my boyfriend. You know, and that's when everybody goes, yeah, we knew that. Pass the potatoes. But it is one of those days. It's one of those days people think that that's a good time to do it. I don't know why that is, you know. You know, the news of breaking up with you, we don't want to do this during the holiday. But the news that I'm gay or I'm an atheist or, you know, I'm marrying somebody of a different race, that's when we decide to bring it up. Because we develop this fantasy in our head, you know. It can go one of two ways, where everybody is enjoying the holiday and everybody's relaxed, taking it easy. And by the way, Daddy, this is my boyfriend, Mustafa. And you know what? Then Daddy either has a heart attack or tries to kill Mustafa. Or you know, it's I don't know what it is, but people love pulling shit like that on Thanksgiving, you know, or God, there was Thanksgiving my girlfriend and I went to a few years ago, where it was discovered that somebody, one of her friend's son, who we were staying with for Thanksgiving, it was discovered that he was having sex with his best friend's girlfriend, and that's when they decided to break it to him. Oh, there's a reason that there are so many movies about Thanksgiving where everything's a fucking train wreck. I can't think of a single Thanksgiving movie where everything just works out fine. You know why? Because one, it wouldn't be interesting, and two, that's not how things usually work. You know, there's this great movie with Robert Downey Jr., where his character is gay, and everybody does know that, you know, but he gets together with his favorite sister, and then the sister that he hates, and his mom and his dad, and it's just one bizarre situation after another, which, when you look at it from the Thanksgiving Day perspective, is not really that bizarre. Now, one of the most surprising things I've ever found is my buddy Craig. He is a big white guy from Tennessee, and he loves Thanksgiving. He says he never has any problems, and never a big family blow up, and doesn't know what the hell it is I'm talking about. And I'm like, are you sure you're a white guy from Tennessee? But you know what? His idea of normal and my ideas of disaster are actually incredibly similar. So, you know, he may not be the best point of reference, you know? I like seeing my family. I do. I wish I could see them more. But I just don't know if holidays are the time to do it. Especially not when your family doesn't celebrate the holidays the way, you know, the rest of the country does. You know, I'm a very secular kind of guy. I'm not a religious kind of guy. I like to do things just because they're fun, not because they actually mean anything. You know, like sex. And that is my time. I hope you've enjoyed this Joe the Shirt's Off the Cuff Thanksgiving Day Spic-tacular. And I hope you enjoyed the music. If not, well, then just take a Midol and don't worry about it. This is more Alexa Wilkinson and her song, Good Fight. I'm Joe the Shirt, and I've been Off the Cuff. Thank you.
And listen to me. You never do a thing I don't find fault with, so just set me free. It's like I don't know you anymore, and there was something even worse I said. I can't remember half of it. I just wish that I was dead. Sure, I'll apologize.